Sehr gut. Sehr gut.
I'm a time traveler from the year 2025, and I've come here to kill you, Hitler.
Oh, not again. I'm never gonna have enough time to finish these paintings with all of these time travelers trying to kill me.
Well, I'm going to succeed.
Before you pull the trigger, can I just ask why? Why do all of you people want to kill me?
Isn't it obvious? I'm a progressive, a liberal, a fighter for social justice. And you are a fascist who implemented a reign of terror. And while the effects of your policies devastated the world for decades, soon we will be able to take back the White House, and we will be able to use the government to force people to follow our great ideas.
You want to use government power to force your ideas on the populace. Me too! That's fantastic!
What? No. Ugh. You and I have nothing in common. What I'm saying is there are people in our time with dangerous ideas, and we need to silence them.
Silencing those who disagree with you. I do that too! Oh, wunderbar! Oh, the Nazi movement will not die with me.
Don't give me that! I'm enlightened, and you're as bad as... well, as Hitler. Listen, what I'm trying to say is we are very close to implementing a utopia, as long as we can get rid of some certain undesirable people groups.
Yes, like the Jews.
Yes, like the Jews. Oh.
So, in the future, you also do not like the Jews?
Well, no. But we don't believe in segregating all the races like you do. I mean, except for, like, graduation ceremonies. In dorms. And hiring practices. Oh, and admissions policies. That sort of thing.
I, too, am a fan of the segregation. I'm sorry, I have to ask, is this a real firearm or is this some kind of toy for kids?
It's a flare gun. I'm trying not to support America's toxic gun culture. I'm a firm believer in gun control.
Gun control! This was one of my ideas, too. Ban them from the undesirables. Yes, look here. Oh, and your shirt. This is an organization founded by Margaret Sanger. Yes?
Wait, you know about Margaret Sanger?
Jawohl, of course. Oh, she's such a lovely person.
No. She's a fighter for reproductive rights, for women's empowerment,
and the eradication of undesirable populations by means of eugenics. Brilliant lady, very inspiring. I must use some of her ideas in our socialized healthcare system.
Socialized healthcare? That's not your thing. That's our thing.
No, it's very much my thing. Did you know that Nazi means National Socialist German Workers' Party? Nazi is just more catchy. Nazi. Just rolls off the tongue.
No. This can't be true. This has to be some sort of mistake. We are nothing alike. You're Adolf Hitler, evil right-wing fascist dictator, and I'm a feminist restorative justice advocate. And a vegetarian.
You're a vegetarian? Me too!
Okay, I am so confused right now. I came here with a clear goal in mind to kill the most evil man to have ever lived. Besides Ronald Reagan. But now that I'm meeting you in person, you're not at all what I thought you were. And your painting is actually really good. What do you call it?
I call it Ein Reich ohne Juden.
Wow. I don't know what that means, but it sounds beautiful.
It does, doesn't it?
I love that video by the Babylon Bee. And the reason I do is it just proves the case and point that if you do not know history, and important if you don't teach history, that you can control the minds of young people. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Please lift a finger and share this program. You're going to want to stay as I stitch this together to you to get right to the end so you understand, well, how all of this will impact you. By the way, today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. Here's what I'm asking you to do. It's very simple, folks. I'm just asking you to go to JovanLovesGold.com. That's it. I'm asking you to fill out the request for your free gold and silver kit. Do it today. Quit pushing it off, because now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver. Please. I'm telling you, in my gut, I know something's coming. Something is coming with our money, our financial system. There is going to be a change over to digital, folks. It's going to happen. It's not if it's going to happen. It is going to happen. And I need you to be prepared. So please go to JovanLovesGold.com with my partners, Goldco. Find out why you need to know about this. Get the scoop, the inside information on gold and silver, especially if you have a 401k, IRA, or retirement savings account, folks. Don't pass it up. Do not. Do not. I'm telling you, something's coming. I've showed you this. And this was, the end of the election where President Trump got back in. It's been basically a year now. But check this out. On this one, you see the big Biden FU finger, right? Sticking up. I kind of hoped you wouldn't notice by looking at the data, because the data doesn't lie. But what they've been doing quietly is raising Kamala's votes to make Biden's numbers look more realistic. Yeah. This is a May number. Raised Kamala to 74,749,891. And even since May to now, they've added an additional, get ready for this, folks, 1 year almost after the event, they've added an additional 226,000 votes to Kamala. Now ask yourself, are they doing that with paper and these BS ballots, or is it the machines? Today's going to be a very interesting program. I hope you pay attention. Teachers, leave them kids alone. We're going to look inside at the radical dogma still being taught. We're in trouble. You've got to know about this. Share this program right now. We'll get started shortly.
Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County Full Forensic Audit Archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now.
Warning. The following program has been rated Gilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you. Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media? In the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd, cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, JovanHuttonPulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, JovanHuttonPulitzer.
Okay, folks, welcome to the crap. If you've been with me for a while, then you know crap is culture, race, and American politics, CRAP. And right now in the United States of America, even though President Trump is getting rid of DEI, etc., it goes much deeper. And we're at war. And I want you to understand that's the way that you have to look at every bit of this. This is war. It's that simple. War. I think if you think anything different, especially if you think this too shall pass, we're going to be in trouble. So my job is really just a very simple one. My job is to make you the smartest patriot in the room. You cannot fight this stuff if you don't have a knowledge base to come from. If you just gobble up what people tell you, just because maybe they have a background or a degree that you don't, and you look at them like a rock star, but when they come out with gobbledygook that, hey, I looked back at the 2004 census to tell what happened in the 2020 election, and I came up with this incredible math figure that you can't understand, can't even announce the word, but that's what happened. I think when you just believe what you're told, innocent people end up going to prison, and our country gets hurt. Now, I'm going to tell you a story of a young teacher that all her life wanted to be a teacher and finally gets accepted to an incredible teaching program at Michigan State University. Okay? Interesting. Isn't that where... Is it Haberman is and does all the things about voting machines and elections and study and research? Okay. Now imagine you work your academic career ass off to become just the most incredible teacher you can become. And when you walk into class, you get taught that teaching is a political position. Now, I know, I'm just telling you, I'm appalled that our teachers across the United States of America can talk to students in classes about their sex lives or their sexual preferences or all this other stuff that, frankly, if that would have happened in my day, my parents would have went up and beat the hell out of the teacher. You know it. I mean, it's just totally inappropriate. But that's where we are today. It's creeped into the classroom. Now, a lot of what I'm going to talk about is how does this creep into the classroom? But more importantly, it's not just creeping into the classroom, and it is grooming, the worst kind of grooming. It is how can you slowly, very slow moves, take over an entire country. Now, if you'll stay with me for the full time, you'll get it. But this young teacher, and this is a story, by the way, that was on the Federalist, which I read, and because it's a first-person account, it was just sickening to understand that you go into Well, teach young minds and do it. Now, mind you, when I share this with you today, this is supposedly the top institution to get your elementary teaching degree. Okay? The top institution to get your elementary teaching degree. Okay, this is where you want to go. If you want to be considered a power teacher for education, that's where you go. And that's why my theme is teachers, leave them kids alone, because we've hit the wall, folks. Yeah, a little Pink Floyd reference there. But this young teacher gets into the university, is already told that everything's political. Everything is political. Now, there is a truism to that. Everything can be turned political, but you have to ask yourself, when it comes to education, do you want to turn education political? Now, the system wants to do this. So this is the number one ranked elementary program in the United States of America. There is a very specific requirement when you graduate this program, going to get this particular degree, that you have to take a particular course. It's a pretty long course. I'm going to show you the syllabus and everything. It's called Social Foundations of Justice and Equity in Education. Now remember, our current administration is working very hard to eradicate all of this social justice, equity, diversity, etc., right, from our system. And I just want you to think from the time you were in school to now. You know, it's a blink of an eye that everything changes. Like I think now, and I think my age now, and go, wow, where did it go? Or you have children and they go, damn, they're grown up, or damn, they have children, or they're married. It goes fast. Faster than we want to believe, because all of that time in between is, unfortunately, in many ways, a blur. So this young teacher gets into this required class called Social Foundations of Justice and Equity. Now, this is an absolute required course. As I understand, what I'm going to show you in this particular syllabus is weaved in and out all of our kindergarten through 12th grade academic system. Now, it's cloaked a little bit differently than the normal DEI stuff. Now, if we were to look at a snapshot of the United States of America, right now, 47% of the people in the United States identify as Democrat. If you were to look inside the school system, our teachers, etc., administrators, 58%. 58%. That's a big number. 58% of our school teachers identify as liberal Democrats. This is why when you look in, this is how you understand something's wrong in our country. When you look out across our beautiful country and you look just online, you look at the little maps, and maybe I can find one here. Let me find one, okay? Sorry that I didn't have this in advance, but let's take a look. Let me see if I can find the most current one. Wonk, 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 wonk. Here's the 2024. Okay, I'll use this one. Let me open this up. Let me get it into my system, and you can take a look at it. I've begun to look at many things since my own work for my own country, right? And trying to figure out what happened in our elections. I've I have a new set of eyes as I look at this. And as you get a new set of eyes, things become more apparent that you think, why in the hell didn't I see it? All right. So here's the United States of America. And it covers all the various ones, leaning blue, leaning red, or whatever. But that's a snapshot of the United States of America. Now, America, and that's 2024, right? When you get into the last election, it even goes more red of how they voted. But this is just kind of a leaning snapshot. I've always looked at these charts, these images, and I realize that, we have basically a red country. If you were to look at propensity, we have a red country. Can you find yourself on that map? Right? Can you see where you are and look around you? Okay. Now the reason I do this is if we want to show the impact of Donald Trump in all of this. So this is the general map that just shows, how do I say this? The registration state of the United States of America. So you with me when I say the registration state, the state of how voter registration is counted. And you see, we still have a predominantly red country. Now, when it comes to the vote of how people actually vote, this is our country. I'm going to let you compare the two because this is very important. So here's how the registrations come down. You can still see we have a predominantly red country in the United States of America. This is how the registrations come down. When you do it by how they actually voted, this is how it comes down. Now, one of the things when I look at this, I ask a question, how is it? Just a question. How is it in our state houses and in our federal houses, right? Senate, etc. How is it they're almost always split 50-50? If this is what the people do and say, if that map truly represents how people voted, how is Congress, right? The Senate, how are they split 50-50? I've come to realize it's all a game. It's all a game. Now, when you think about the percentages that way, when we apply it to teaching, we're seeing a serious imbalance. Because just under 60%, which means you've got to understand in context, if our House and Congress and everything is, or Senate, is basically split 50-50. And then you look at, okay, well, that's the manipulation of the system to even get that compared to what the United States is. Then when you look at it as far as our educators, then you see it's almost 60% are on the left. Now, the question is, how does that happen? Do people on the left just become teachers? Did any of you have left-leaning teachers when you grew up? I don't know. And I went to a 5A high school, a very large high school. I don't know, to tell you honestly, that I could tell you what the political affiliation of any of my teachers were. Any of you guys? Did any of you basically happen to know or be told what your teachers, could be elementary, could be junior high, could be high school, political affiliation was? Any of you? I can't remember that. No one told us. You could have an effeminate teacher. You could even have a little bit of a butch teacher, but they certainly didn't talk about their sexuality. So something changed. And so when I look at this, I realized that once they started to control, quote unquote, the system, they start from a top down. That's the fundamental change that Barack Obama, who will come into and play in a minute, promised for America, a fundamental change. And it actually is a top down change. They start working their way into the associations, then the association push this out. And if a teacher wanted to rebel against teaching that, fine, go, boom, you're out of here. Well, would the teacher do that after they've been teaching 10 or 20 years? No, they don't want to lose their pension, just like police. So you understand how they get caught, how they get trapped in the system. And I come from a family that has a lot of teachers and principals in my family. Okay, so I kind of understand this firsthand. And now, when dialogued with my oldest sister, who went all through teaching and then became an assistant principal and then became a principal and then became an administrator, it's the death knell in the school system to let people know you're conservative. It's just poison. Okay, so imagine your son or daughter wants to go into teaching, and you got 47% of the public that identifies as Democrat, but you get into a system that's actually over 58% Democrat. Now it changes. If you look at 22 numbers, and there was a study done about campaign contributions, it's not that this 58% of the teachers were Dem. It jumped to 68% in 2022 during the Biden administration. Now, I think that was also part of the system. When we got the pandemic and teachers weren't going to comply, a lot of them took early retirement. Same with police forces, same with all kinds of stuff. Well, what happened is you identified you weren't going to buy into that shit. Well, it created an effect, and that effect was to get 68% in through K through 12. Now, if you look at their political contributions, 68% are contributing Democrat. But if you look at it on the college level, college professors, it's 93%. 93%. So now imagine you're conservative, you want to teach, it's your passion. And if we were looking at Michigan State University being the top ranked elementary education program in the nation. Now, this is elementary. Keep that in mind. They say they teach understanding self, schools, and society. And then they go on to say emphasizing racial justice, equity, and social identity markers. Teaching's your passion. You want to go to get the top university degree you can, and that's how it's broken down. So let me show you what they have to take in this to get through it. Right? This is the curriculum, and it's required social foundations of justice and equity in education. Right? I want you to look at these. They say by the end of the course, students will be able to, and this is from the Federalist, who I love. Number one, and the student in this case is the teacher. They're going for their advanced degree, okay? They want to be placed in a great school and build a great career teaching. So here is what they say by the end of the course. Here's what will come out in the teacher. They'll be able to describe and critique key historical and philosophical foundations of formal schooling and how those foundations influence current education policy and practice. It's not how to teach a kid to be better. There's nothing in there about advanced studies of teaching better. So there's nothing in that statement. Let's look at the next one. Analyze how sociological, anthropological, and political economic forces contribute to schooling structures, inequities, and educational outcome for diverse students. Again, you're going to get your advanced degree in teaching gifted elementary students. Next, examine issues of justice and equity in education, including race, class, gender, language, disability, and global perspectives. Well, that's DEI, supposed to be eradicated, but as a teacher, just to get your advanced degree, you must be able to speak this language. Now, is anything in those first few about teaching a better way? No. Number 4, identify how power, culture, and social institutions influence schooling and education reform. And number 5, develop personal and professional commitments to, there's that word, equitable educational practices and articulate strategies for transformative change. Now, was that a how to be a better teacher teaching syllabus? Or was that how teaching is politics? Yeah, we're going to reform it, not restore it. I want them to restore it. I want you to just consider what I just read to you. I'm going to get deeper. Was anything in that about being a better teacher? Being able to make sure that the student learns what they're there to learn. You're probably like me. They're turning teachers into political groomers, ideological groomers. They're not teaching the basics, but this is what they're required to be proficient at, right? There's nothing in it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Call me out. There's nothing in that first thing that they're going to be able to do when they come out of this program that says they're going to be a better teacher, that they're going to make sure their students excel. Am I right or am I wrong? There's nothing in it. Well, let's look at actually how this course comes down. And I want you to remember, I am telling you a real-time story of a teacher that went into the system. Her name is actually Adriana Mobley. And she got accepted to this incredible institution, right? Period. She wrote this article and stuff, and they're learning things. She's saying, wait a minute, what is this, right? She basically says, I grew up in the school system becoming a teacher, but what the hell is this? Where they get taught things like racism is integrally linked to capitalism. And one of the videos has to what the instructor says, and I think it's a mistake to assume that we can combat racism by leaving capitalism in place. So again, somebody who wanted to be a teacher their whole life comes from teachers, and this is what they have to do. So let's look at what they're learning in this required course. And so what you're looking at, I'm going to go through week by week in this syllabus. And you tell me, anything of merit here on how this person is going to become a better teacher? Ready? Week 1, Introduction to Social Foundations, Understanding Education and Social Institution. Is that They know they want to be a teacher, but isn't that the politics about it? Listen to this one. Week 2, the historical perspective on schooling. Its colonial roots, its compulsory schooling, segregation and desegregation. Week 3, philosophical foundation. What's the purpose of schooling? Debates over equality, liberty, and democracy. Look at the first thing they focus on, equality. What's the purpose of school? To teach the freaking kids to learn. Isn't that the purpose of school? To turn out students that have the ability to learn and to think for themselves. Baby. That is not what this is. Week 4, sociological theories of education. Functionalism, conflict theory, symbolic interactionism. I mean, what? Week 5, anthropology and culture and education, cultural reproduction, funds of knowledge, schooling in cross-cultural context. Week 6, political economic issues in education, capitalism, neoliberalism, privatization, and global schooling trends. In all of this so far, you might notice there's not a mention of the United States of America, and it's teaching globalism. This is somebody who wants to be a teacher here in the United States of America. You follow this? Now, these are the institutions that create those that lead your children. Let's keep on going into this. Let's look at week 7. And in week 7, they're going to move to race, ethnicity, and language in education, systemic racism, achievement gaps, bilingual and multilingual education. Number 8, social class, poverty and education, socioeconomic status, opportunity gaps and mobility. Week 9, gender, sexuality and disability in education, intersectionality, inclusive education, and queer theory. Week 10, schools and communities, community engagement, family school relations, schooling rural and urban. Week 11, global and comparative perspectives, education equity worldwide, international development, global education justice. Week 12, reform, policy, and leadership for equity, policy analysis, leadership for social justice, systematic change. Again, this is a woman who has a passion for teaching, that comes from teaching, that is going to get her advanced degree from supposedly the best institution in the United States to get it for teaching elementary school. Have I given in any of this syllabus yet, and I got a couple more, anything that you personally believe has to do with anything about turning out a better student, a high achiever? No. When you pay attention to this, the focus is on indoctrinating and globalizing a student and teaching the most negative stuff you can find in the world that have nothing to do with an elementary student. Does any of this have anything to do with an elementary student? Does an elementary student need to know intersectionality, queer theory, an elementary school student? And then the last part of it, practitioner rules, professional commitments. What does it mean to be an educator dedicated to justice and equality? That's kind of the wrap up. They didn't ask, what does it mean to be an educator that is effective and puts out incredible students with a thirst for learning and understanding how to learn and absorb information? Not at all. You've got to be an educator dedicated to justice and quality. Then they got to do final presentations and projects, and then they got to do their wrap up. Okay. Now, this is what a young teacher must go through to get the advanced teaching degree to teach elementary students. Now, you might ask yourself, where does all this come from? Well, here is the required reading. We're going to focus just on number 1. Select chapters from a volume such as Handbook of Social Justice in Education, Ayers, Quinn, and Stovall. Ayers, Quinn, and Stovall. This is the required reading. It's required. This is where the course syllabus was derived from. Now, you're probably thinking, where did I hear Ayers? William Ayers. William Ayers. Oh, you mean Bill Ayers? You remember when Obama popped on the scene? And there was all this hullabaloo because his campaign that put him in politics was launched at Bill Ayers' home in Chicago. Now, this Bill Ayers fellow is a teacher, professor at University of Illinois. You might also remember him for the Weather Underground. Yeah, that radical left organization in the 1970s that was making and planting bombs across the United States of America. Do you remember that? Yeah. This is the fellow that worked to bring Barack Obama to power, hosted a gathering in their homes in 1995 where Alice Palmer introduced this Obama character as to be her chosen successor to the Illinois Senate. And of course, he was there for a year. Boom, he's president. Boom, he has the Nobel Prize, right? Yeah. This is a fellow that created this committee or group in the summer of 1969 called the Weathermen. And during that time, where Bill Ayers was the top leader, they began a series of bombings, primarily of government buildings. These continued all the way through 1975. Now, they say they intentionally chose targets to avoid human injury, although that's not the case. They were about to attack an NCO, non-commissioned officer dance at Fort Dix, New Jersey in 70 when they accidentally set off their own bomb while they were assembling it. It killed 3 of the weathermen. All of these guys split because, see, nobody knew who was doing the bombing. And then when it came out, everybody associated with this split and hide. Most of them, went into hiding and took other names. Well, this Bill Weatherman guy, they kind of hid all through the 70s and the 80s. He and his partner, underground partner, the Weatherman Underground, they had 2 sons. And then finally they turned themselves in, and the wife got 3 years probation, right? and then a $1,500 fine for bomb making. Come on, think about it, folks. They found the list, the places they were going to attack. And then she refused to testify from a grand jury against the other people. And so they sentenced her to 7 months, right? These are bombers. These are people willing to kill people. These are people willing to blow up, destroy things, okay, in order to change the system. Now, this is the book that you read for this teaching syllabus at the University of Michigan to become an elementary school top educator. He's the guy that brought Barack Obama in, and when Obama was a state senator and was asked kind of what he was reading, he basically said he's reading The Kind and Just Parent, The Children of the Juvenile Court, a searing and timely account of the juvenile court system and the courageous individuals who rescue hope from despair. That's interesting. Isn't that a place where we lose a lot of kids? They kind of disappear. We don't know who they're given to. That's kind of an interesting connection. Well, this is what beget Obama. Now, I'm telling you, when Obama came in, he lived to his pledge to fundamentally change America. He told you right up front, they always have to tell you, to fundamentally change America. Well, let me explain to you many of the ways they fundamentally changed, and now I'm going to wrap it all up and tie it up for you. First, you need to understand what was done through Obama was a massive infiltration project. A massive infiltration project. All of the goals and military tactics that were required to destroy America from within, it was his insertion that began the process of that takeover. The fundamental change he did is they went in, once he became president, he made recommendations to all the top foundations, all of the top foundations. And they got activists, just like Obama, put at the top of all the top nonprofits. All of the top nonprofits. And then they got those like-minded activists at the top of major corporations on the board. And it was done a little bit in the shaming of diversity and equity. And of course, Obama saying, I'm black or kind of black, whatever you think. And they did this shaming process. Now, once they got those people in, they began a really wicked, what I call, my opinion, a money laundering process. Now, here's how it worked. Do you remember when we had the home loan crisis? What was it, 08 or 07? So Obama institutes a policy that says, based on inclusion and equity, right, and diversity, that the banks weren't giving enough home loans to people of color. So the bank went outside the normal system of approving loans that wasn't just based on merit and fact, and started saying, okay, well, you know, you're a person of color, and so we'll approve you even though you don't qualify. Now, all across America, people were put into homes that didn't deserve going into those homes. Well, in about a year and a half time, not even 2 years, everything of those insertions started crumbling. Now, when they started crumbling, Obama's AG, they all started suing, right? The Department of Justice and everything. They started suing the banks. One of the ones you probably remember is they sued Bank of America. And I think they leveled Bank of America a $2 or $3 billion fine. And then Eric Holder, who was in charge of it all, did a really interesting twist to that fine. Now, imagine you're sitting on a bank and you've got to pay this just astronomical government fine for executing what they told you to do, what they shamed you to do. And it all fell apart because nobody was creditworthy enough to carry the loan. Well, Eric Holder did a very interesting trick. He went into these places that they fined massive dollars and said, look, what we'll do is we'll give you like a 3-to-1 credit. And if instead of paying the money to the government, you donate the money to the nonprofits we tell you to donate to. One of those was Acorn. Remember them? And all their radical stuff. So that would be like Bank of America having a $3 billion fine. And they did everyone, Countrywide, Washington Mutual, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, all of it, right? They did these heavy ass fines. But imagine, we'll just use Bank of America. And let's say if they had a $3 billion fine, the government would count their fine paid to the tune of 3-to-1 if that money was donated to a nonprofit that the Obamas approved. And so what happened was that would be something, and I'm just paraphrasing here, Bank of America, because they want to keep their license, right? And lots of banks went under. Bank of America would, in fact, donate $1 billion, let's say. Instead of 3, they're saving $2 billion, but they'd hand it over to something like Acorn. Do you see what happened there? They created this interesting economic shift behind the scenes. And so, of course, a bank, what are they going to go? We're not going to fund Acorn. Screw you. We're not going to fund these leftist organizations. We're going to pay the $3 billion fine. Hell no. So it was really a kind of a financial extortion in my book. Now, what that did to get this fundamental change of America, that took all of these nonprofits that they had their people placed in, right? And all of a sudden, massive amounts of cash came in. Mega shakedown of cash went to all of the bad eggs, in my opinion. And then that's where we started seeing all of the organized protest. All of the, cancel culture. If you say that you're bad, we'll cancel you. It was all pay for play. All driven by that economic engine to get to the point they could pull something like they did with Biden, because it was all about taking over America and destroying it from within. The great enabler, and you think about people like Stacey Abrams. What'd she ultimately get? $2 billion? See, that's the fundamental change he promised. Now, why do I even bring that up about Bill Ayers and Barack Obama and this teacher going to the University of Michigan, right? And finding out, nope, it's politics and you have to do this and you're not going to do it. And it's just repackaged critical race theory and DEI. Well, here's why. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Okay? When you look at the syllabus, some of the other books they promote is Bill Ayers' book, Fugitive Days, Teaching Towards Freedom, Ethical Classrooms, and of course, this Handbook of Social Justice, which now they have the Kids' Handbook for Social Justice. Okay. What tactic can you recognize is going on? When you look at that, what is the tactic going on? Do you know what the tactic is that's going on in that particular scenario? Why is somebody like this Bill Ayers involved? Why are they teaching this out of this particular social handbook? How does all of this tie together? Have you noticed the tactic yet, just by any chance? What do you think you're actually looking at when you can trace back the syllabus to these radicals who place bombs everywhere, folks, who did bona fide destruction? Put in chat if you notice what the commonality is and what was, and why do they do this? Why do they go after the teachers? Do you know what it is? Put it in chat. Do you know? It's not just about normalization, and it's not just about brainwashing. You're right. They're trying to normalize this stuff, and they're trying to change culture. But there's something a little bit bigger at play. And yes, it's about control, and it's about bringing the country down. What you're watching is just like this course syllabus for an elementary school teacher is taken from basically a Marxist handbook. Here's what is really in play. Do you know what this picture is? Look at the picture, put it in chat, tell me what it is. This is a cultural revolution that began in 1966. It began with exactly about 416 students combined with the media at the time. This was the youth movement known as the Red Guards. And they were mobilized to attack old culture, old customs, old habits, and old ideas. Pay attention to the wording. It started, and I've told you this one before, but it started with about 416 students. To put it into comparative for you, that's about how many ultra high net worth family personal private chefs. Well, I'm sorry, it's 415 now because one drowned on a paddleboard. But you know what I'm saying? It's a very small number. And then they combined with the media. Well, what this happened is this was a reshaping of society and power structures, but they did it via the youth and education. This was China's Cultural Revolution. This is what turned China communist. The same formula that I gave you that this teacher who wants to teach kids is being forced to study is the exact blueprint of how China, and China at the time had 1 billion plus people, right? Many, many, many times larger than the United States of America. It only took 416 active students combined with teachers and media, and they overthrew the entire country and took it over. That is why this is going on. This is the exact same way in Germany. That's right. Long before Hitler in power, the startup to getting it done was the Hitler Youth Project first. They started working with youth organizations, and they started bringing people in. What they did, okay, is in the education system, because so many kids were participating. They got kids to participate. We're going to do great society. We're going to do this. We love our mother country. Well, what happened? In that, they started changing the curriculum. And the curriculum basically became to teach, ready? Race theory. And then loyalty to the Führer, and then make it from a military angle. But they needed also, the reason they went after the youth is because they taught you don't belong to your parent, you belong to the system. And by the way, that the church cannot tell you what to do. You got to do what's right for your country. And so what happened is this began the educational youth system movement, was how they consolidated their totalitarian control. And they basically pre-shaped the future generation ready to click in when it happened to the ideology. Does that sound familiar? You probably didn't even know about this one. In 1959, after a revolution in Cuba and people trying to get free, but it failed, the government introduced what they call the Ambitious Literacy Campaign. In order to not have that happen again, where the people fought back, they built a new social identity based on education. It was mandatory everywhere, including rural populations, and it basically taught the youth all of the revolutionary state values. You will teach, you will learn. This is how, under the idea of reform, because the people had already rose up, this is how they basically taught the young ones coming up, don't fight back. This is the way it is, and we have to shape a new societal order. Same exact playbook. Same exact playbook. You probably don't follow Peru. Peru went through the same thing. It was called the Shining Path. And what they did in order to seal their position communist-wise, just with all these others, they started focusing on what was called the Young Pioneers. And that all children from 8 to 10 were educated in revolutionary schools. They were taught all the ideology principles, and they were even taught military attacks. What they did is, yes, they made kids literate, but they were already pre-trained for ideological mobilization and the defending of the communists if, in fact, anybody tried to uprise against communist ways. This was one of the more extreme examples, because of what they did with the kids, there is. Does that resonate with you? You're probably thinking, well, Jovan, this is old. It's, okay, Peru doesn't matter. Well, how about this one? Ba'ath Party. This is the Assad regime in Syria. The very same thing they did to conquer Syria was they went into the schools, they completely redid the education system. It all became ideological and militarized. And they taught loyalty to the leader, not your parents, not the church. Your parents don't have say over you, etc. And what happened is, in every one of these, they shifted from education for development to education for indoctrination. This is something that's been played out since the 1930s in Germany and China, the Soviet Union, Cuba, North Korea, Syria. Italy did it with Mussolini, Peru, Cambodia, Iran, Afghanistan, Rwanda. All of them, 100% of them, to keep the people in order, captured the education system. Got their people at the top and then changed the curriculum. This is why I highlighted it today. This is why you need to understand this. And this is why you need to understand it's more subtle than you could ever imagine. It is more subtle. But you have to understand how they do it too. I know everybody wants to know, well, who's controlling this? Who's executing it? Who's the head of it? Okay, it's Jiminy Cricket. Now you know. Did you hear a thunder crack or God? Did anything change? No. It's not about who heads it up as much as it is about how is it done. And then once you understand how it is done and you understand their tactics, then you can do something about it. See, it doesn't matter who's doing it. It could be, God rest his soul, Pee Wee freaking Herman. Okay, and it goes viral and everybody talks about it for 2 days and then it's over. See, it's not about who did it. You want to know who did it because you got to have evil people. You got to have people to hate on. You got to have people to single out. But see, we're past that. That's over. That's over. Where we sit today is you must understand this war tactic. You must understand how they do it. Because when you can identify it for what it is, then, okay, yes, Paul Rubens is dead. Then you can fight back. How many people want to protect their kids but won't homeschool? How many parents want to protect their kids, want to save America, but don't even look at what their kids are doing for homework? This is how it works, folks. This is how they do it. And you happen, if you're an American and you're watching this with me right here in the United States of America, we're the greatest prize of all. And we're being conquered. That story I gave you about that teacher being forced to go through that is going on right now. And we worry about, well, you can't teach DEI in corporations. You can't hire people about it. It's much deeper than that. And they keep on masking it and redoing it. It's a cancer. And it's a cancer for which you and only you are the cure. And how do you cure this? When you learn how they do it. When you accept the challenge and you share information, you share this program, you get it out, and you start beginning to teach people how it works. If you're focusing on they wore red shoes, you've lost and you're killing America. Well, as a pedophile ranch, they're going to give you rabbits to chase. You start teaching people the actual tactic they do it by, you will move the needle. And all of this is about becoming someone who moves the needle. Because I'm telling you, they successfully pulled it off in our elections. And that's the big FU finger that's sticking up at us. And they want to keep you from this information. But they've got it packed. They have not gone away. We have not won. Right? Every politician in the country, anybody that's learning history knows this stuff. You cannot expect a president of the United States to change this. It is not how it works. You cannot, and I'll give you a prime example. Now, pay very close attention. Even with President Trump signing an executive order, pay attention, even with Executive Trump or President Trump signing an executive order to get rid of mail-in ballots, he cannot make it happen because the states decide it. But if you federalize our elections, remember the book. They already silently federalized our elections, folks. They already see everything. And I'm watching good people right now. Well, President Trump can't do that to states, so why don't he just federalize the elections? When that happens, it's over. Even as bad as our elections are, when you eliminate that state power and it goes right to the federal level, our country will cease in very rapid order. And I see people right now basically promoting that crap. Don't fall for it, folks. Don't fall for it. I love you all. Please, I beg you, share this program, because we have to save ourselves and fix what was broken ourselves and educate people why they need to do it. And we need to focus on the right things. Share this program.
Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County Full Forensic Audit Archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now.
We've got all the right in the world on our side, and there ain't no reason to be afraid, and there ain't no reason to not take the challenge dead on, because I'm going to tell you who we come from, folks. We don't come from some weak, jellyback, spineless people. That's not who we come from. None of us. And it doesn't matter what color you are, what nation your folks hail from, how much money you got. We all share the same name. We are Americans. And at Bunker Hill, there was Americans. And at Fredericksburg and Gettysburg, there was Americans. And at Iwo Jima, raising that flag on Suribachi, it was Americans. And at Pork Chop Hill, there was Americans. Quezon, there was Americans. And on 9/11, there was Americans who ran towards those burning buildings. That is who you share your heritage with. You do not share your heritage with a weak and ineffective people who cower at the sight of trouble. You share your heritage with a strong and brave people who are determined to hold on to their freedom and for the freedom of future generations. Guys, it's time for us to stand up and be that generation. It's time for us to stand strong and proud and remember who we are. That we are Americans. And as long as we stand as the vanguard of freedom in this nation, freedom will survive people. Not only survive, it will thrive. So guys, it's time to put on our packs. It's time to fix those bayonets. It's time to get ready. We got a fight on our hands. And our fight is not for us, for all those generations that's going to come behind us. Let's save America, folks.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
You'll fight for free and fair elections, invent and scan the ballots of kinematic artifact detection. You love to read and learn, travel and explore. You're a fearless, braveheart patriot who's opened doors. You are courage, you're our voice. Jovan, we thank you for what you're fighting for. You're our warrior. You are brave like a lion. You're David fighting Goliath, couldn't ask for more. You're our warrior. Think of what you've done for you, for me, for our country. You'll go down in history as our warrior. by God and always do what's right. In the battle for our nation, you lead the fight. We pray for your safety, the armor of God to protect you from all of us. Here's a thank you for all that you do. You are courage, you're our voice. Jovan, we thank you for what you're fighting for. You're our warrior. You are brave like a lion. You're David fighting Goliath, couldn't ask for more. You're our warrior. Think of what you've done for you, for me, for our country. You'll go down in history as our warrior. Jovan, you're a hero we stand behind. We're inspired by the fire inside your eyes. American proud, we know you'll fight till your dying day, and we'll always stand behind you through everything. You are courage, you're our voice. Jovan, we thank you for what you're fighting for. You're our warrior. You are brave like a lion. You're David fighting Goliath, couldn't ask for more. You're our warrior. Think of what you've done for you, for me, for our country. You'll go down in history as our